two teams left undefeated, the Miami Dolphins and the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's kick off with the Eagles first. Pretender or contender?
I think this one is pretty easy. I think they're clear-cut contenders. Going into the season, I had this team winning the division, but I didn't expect them to be this good. Jalen Hurts, super talented, but we hadn't seen him really throwing the ball to a big time threat. I feel like over the last 3 weeks, what I've seen out of the Eagles and what I've seen out of Jalen Hurts is a number one. He's a franchise changer. That you put that guy on the field and things are going to happen. But another thing that came up is they don't just have a number one and a number two wide receiver. They have two number ones. Devontae Smith is an absolute animal. And I don't know if you saw what Devontae Adams put out the other day, but he was like, if you misspell my name, you better spell it Devontae the way we spelled Devontae Smith's name, because he is that man. He is him. And the balls that he was going after against Washington, oh my God, dude, he was mossing dudes. I think he mossed like 3 or 4 guys. Making those one-on-one plays, Devontae Smith is legit. We already knew A.J. Brown was legit. Their running game is incredible. I would love to see Miles Sanders get a touchdown, more selfishly for my fantasy team, but I don't know if that's going to happen because Jalen Hurts is absolutely balling. And not only is he just balling, I think right now he might be the front runner for MVP.
I look at all of these young quarterbacks, and all of them are supremely talented, Justin. I feel like the expectation now should be, if you don't show us the growth by year 2, we have every right to move on. And with Hurts, we saw last year the way he was able to impact the game and really be a force multiplier in the rushing attack. He works his absolute tail off in the offseason. Now he's one of the better passers in the league as well, passers in the league that is doing everything right. And like you said, I have no reservations. I said it before the year started, and I'll say it again. The Eagles can and will win a playoff game. You look at coaching, Nick Sirianni, remember when he had his introductory press conference and he could barely speak? You guys remember? I was watching that the other day and I was saying, damn, this is really bad. And fortunately for head coaches, your public speaking skills, well, you definitely need to be able to connect with your players and speak to them in the locker room. They really don't matter that much if you're a pretty darn good head coach. Bill Belichick doesn't dazzle people in press conferences. Mike McDaniel does. Ultimately, it doesn't matter how natural a speaker you are. Nick Sirianni has built an offense here that is elite. It starts with the quarterback, but like you said, they have probably a top 5 group in terms of weapons. The offensive line, the defensive line as well. This team is all coming together. And a year ago, some had this as one of, if not the worst team in football. And I was saying, I don't know about that because they have a lot of talent, a lot of, not talent, but they have good players in the trenches, and they made the playoffs. This year, they're taking that next step by beating playoff caliber teams. And they're starting 3 now. I have them winning 12 games.
So, just to jump off a little thing that John said about Bill not being a good public speaker, consider yourself worked, John, because Bill could actually speak in public very well. He chooses not to in those press conferences. So for me, you guys are both contenders on this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, did you guys both pick the Eagles to win the NFC East before the league, before the season started? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, and I picked the Dallas Cowboys, which is, considering everything, they're not in bad shape. If we're really going to be honest with you, you know what I mean? Like, you lose
very much alive.
You lose your franchise quarterback for a couple of weeks, and at first it looks terrible. Like, you're not going to get him till week 10, 11. Now it's possibly next week, the week after. So not in bad shape. So I'm not off the Cowboys yet. They're pretenders for me, the Eagles. Pretenders. Okay. And it's because of I like to think about it in this way. I'm very big on level of competition. Who would you play? Let's go through it. Week 1, the Detroit Lions, they played. We are all very high on DC, Dan Campbell. We like the direction the Lions are going, right? But it's week 1. Like I say, it's the biggest toss-up of the year. So that's probably their best win. Then they face Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings in prime time, and we all know about Kirk Cousins in prime time. He absolutely fell apart. I don't even need to read you the numbers because you know how bad they are. Then they play the Washington Commanders. I've seen tons of videos since the year for the first 3 weeks of the season on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere on social media, whatever. A bunch of people are putting Carson Wentz as the worst quarterback in the league. Yeah, I know. I don't agree with it, but that's what some people are saying now. And I was high on Washington, but it's Washington, and neither you guys had respect for Washington entering the season. I think you both really still don't. And when I look at the defenses, the Vikings defense, John's not high on it. He's spoken that many a times. The Commanders defense, John, I think we talked about it last week where you said the Commanders defense is terrible. I'm not buying in. So pretenders, and we'll see how the season progresses. They have a favorable schedule because the whole NFC East has a favorable schedule, but I'm not on it right now.
Why are you not?
I
Hit it. No,
you guys not listen to
it's
it.
the team. I understand what you just said.
No, the level of competition. That was my main crux.
So my thing on that, on the level of competition, is when you're an elite team, you have to beat up on these teams, on the teams that are really below you. And realistically, you're not supposed to make it look difficult. You're supposed to make it look easy, which over these last 2 weeks, the Eagles have done. So that's exactly what they're supposed to do. So I get what you mean. The level of competition isn't there. I guess you're saying they haven't truly been battle tested, like maybe when they run into the Cowboys in that defense, and that's a big divisional game. But like you said, the schedule.
Even Jacksonville this week.
Well, yeah, Jacksonville this week. So we'll see. But would you really consider, if they end up blowing Jacksonville out, would you say that they were battle tested?
No, I would give you that. Yeah, it's not because we still don't know about Jacksonville yet, and we'll probably get into that later in the show.
So I feel like they're doing the job, and that's beat the teams that you're supposed to beat.
No,
now when you get into games against the Colts and the Packers, and the score starts to trim down a little bit, you start going up against some equal offensive and defensive talent. Then I get what you're saying.
Sorry, Justin. What you just said right there is that you named the Colts and Packers. That's literally probably their hardest games on their entire schedule. Besides the divisional games, which are always a given for every team. They might not even be battle tested really, like truly, until the playoffs. And that's not good because when you got to face teams like Tampa, John's not high on LA, but LA is starting to figure it out. Watch them. They're going to streak off a bunch of wins now. I truly believe that. Green Bay, they do face Green Bay. It's in Philadelphia. That's a little bit of a reprieve. It's a Sunday night game, so that's going to be a big primetime game. We'll get to that because both teams will be probably looking maybe completely different than they are now, and our opinions might change on that. But yeah, like I said, I'll give you the point. They have to go through the teams they have to go through, and they got to do it convincingly, which they have. I give you that. I'm just saying, let's pump the brakes a little bit because the teams that they have faced, let's wait and see how they get battle tested. That's what I'm saying.
So is it more you just want to see more out of this Philly team?
Yeah, because
you want to see it become a consistent thing.
Yes, but also because, my thoughts going into the season on Jalen Hurts, I didn't think he was a very consistent thrower of the football. I still don't think it. We'll see how the season. It's week 3 again. Let me finish my statement. Can he keep it going throughout a 17-game schedule? It's only week 3.
You know why I have so much faith in this team, Brandon? And maybe you would think it's blind trust. But when you look at the way Josh Allen improved in his second season into his third, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts is entering that exact company. The kid is one of the toughest workers. In Alabama, he was ultimately a running back. He couldn't throw the football. Goes to Oklahoma, and the 4-year census has continued to get better and better and better. When he was drafted, most people didn't view him as a starting quarterback. He's been doubted every step of the way. Right now, leads the NFL in yards per completion. You can say it's part of having A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. But at the end of the day, he's making high-level reads. He's running the offense efficiently, and he's averaging over 300 passing yards a game against 2 well-coached teams in the Vikings and the Commanders. That means something. And I think to say before, you had the Commanders making the playoffs. You clearly viewed them as a good team. You talk about Ron Rivera very highly. You think Carson Wentz is good enough. And hell, he's been pretty darn good this year. And even like that Commanders defense, even though it's been pretty trash the last 2 years. At the end of the day, you need to be able to realize talent and the potential when it is right there in front of you. Oftentimes, when you see it and you know it, you have that gut feeling with Jalen Hurts. This is just the start. Quite honestly, I said before when we started, they're only going to win 12 games. I'm looking at their schedule. The 3 toughest games on their slate are Green Bay, November 27th at home, the Colts the week before in Indianapolis, and the Saints, January 1st. The Eagles might finish with the best record in the entire league this season. Last year, all they did was beat up on crappy teams, and this year they've taken 2 gears up. They're a 9-win team, now they're like a 13-win squad. And it's crazy to think that they've done this so quickly, and it truly
They
is a
haven't
testament.
done it yet. They haven't done it yet. They haven't done it yet.
No one
They're not
expected them to
13-3
be here.
standing right now, though.
No one expected them to make the playoffs last year. And look where they are now. This is just the beginning. Like Justin said,
3-0.
you blow out 2 well-coached, halfway decent teams, and that speaks volumes to the way this team has improved just in week 3. The only thing that can really hold them back is injuries. But Hurts right
In
now.
a playoff team, John, in a playoff game against the Tampa Bay, what team are you taking?
I'm taking the Bucks. I
Okay,
saw what they
then.
did to the
That's what I'm
Cowboys. I
saying.
mean, people are saying
That's
the
what I'm
Cowboys
saying,
year was
though.
done after 1 week against that Buccaneers
That's
defense.
what I'm saying, though. That's my whole point. That's my whole
But the
point.
Buccaneers are my number 1 ranked team in the league.
But that's what
my
I'm
point.
saying, though. They're going to have to go through that team, are they not?
But if they make
Eventually.
it to the conference championship this year, that's a massive success. Of course, maybe you can't beat Tom Brady and Jalen Hurts' second year as a starter. Who the hell can?
Okay. If that's what your success is, okay, I will give you that. I didn't know we were arguing that. I thought you were talking big, like they're
13 wins in the regular season.
But they haven't done it yet. You're talking like they've done it. They haven't done. They're 3-0. It's week 3.
The schedule is so easy, dude.
I know it's so easy. I agree with you with that. But even you say some games you can win, some games you can lose. You never know. The injury bug could hit. Praying it doesn't. Knock on wood. But it could happen.